Ok, allora siamo live. Buonasera Stefano. I want to welcome you to our already 12th episode of Live with the Author, something that has started to promote, and not only to promote the International Journal of Aesthetic Dentistry, but also to create more discussion with authors of high-end articles, to create attention, to motivate young people to get into aesthetic dentistry, but also in all what is around aesthetic dentistry. And so I'm really happy to welcoming you. Un carissimo benvenuto dalla Svizzera. So people understand. Not only my name is Italian. I can also speak Italian.
You can, for sure you can. So should we speak in Italian right now, or should we speak in English?
We continue in English, and maybe we throw some Italian words like the Spanglish. Spanglish.
Right.
So
I know
just
it very
to make
well.
a short introduction, Stefano Gracis is I don't know. You are a member of the European Academy of the Aesthetic Dentistry since
1991, 92.
Wow. And you are also one of the persons that I met when I get in touch with the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry, and also in the years when the decision was made to create or to have an own official publication. It used to be another one, and then I remember there was a long discussion with Quintessence, who is a close friend. The Quintessence family is a close friend of the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry, and there was a long discussion. And I remember at the end, it was a group with you and Uli Grunder and the other people. And I remember it was in St. Moritz where Uli Grunder told me, look, now you have to sit on the same table with Wolfgang Hase and talk to him about this project of the international, at that time, European Journal of Aesthetic Dentistry. And it was completely new. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. And I think after 15 years, we have come very far, also with the help of people like you, Stefano. I really appreciate all your efforts for the editorial board, writing articles, reviewing articles. Reviewing articles, a very important task in the whole process, in the team we have. So I'm really happy to have you here with us tonight. And you are the third person in the sequence to promote our next issue, which is entirely dedicated on treatment planning. And this was something that also took a while to give birth, let's say, to this special issue, finding all the people with different concepts and bringing them into one issue. And it's interesting. All the authors of this next issue are active members of the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry. In the beginning, I was not aware of this, but this was like a nice side effect that this will not only be a special issue on treatment planning, but also a special issue dedicated also to the active members of the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry. So welcome, Stefano.
Actually, this is very good also because this year we didn't have any physical meeting for the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry. And as you know, every year the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry publishes proceedings of its meetings, and therefore in 2021 there is no scheduled publication of the proceedings since no meeting took place this year. So in a way, this issue that is coming out at the beginning of next year in January is actually, I see it as a replacement of the proceedings that we normally publish every year. So that's also very good for the European Academy. European Academy has always believed in this project of the journal, which, as you recall, before was called the European Journal of Aesthetic Dentistry. And actually, we are very, very happy that at one point, Mr. Hase decided that it would have been better to make it even more international by changing the name from European Journal to International Journal of Aesthetic Dentistry. I think and I'm not saying this because we are live in front of an audience, but I really believe that you did a really good job in bringing up this journal over the years and making it become very well known all over the world. And it's a nice window for our Academy and its active members. We are actually trying to involve more also the IJED affiliates. So next year, a few of them will also find space in the journal, and that's a very nice way to get them involved more and more in the Academy in the process of becoming active members. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to write an article. I can admit that I'm the last one to have submitted my article. So out of the 5 people, I was the slowest by far, and you were very patient with me. So hopefully, the article will, be well received. Certainly, it took time. It took time to give birth to this publication, much more than in the past. Because at the end, speaking about treatment planning and trying to explain one's own approach to treatment planning and make it in a language that people can understand, is not easy. I found myself in difficulty in really trying to expose my approach, my ideas, my philosophy in a way that has practical value and that can be easily understood and hopefully applied by our colleagues. We'll see. I'm very curious to see the reaction.
No, we tried, and I have gone through all these 5 articles. We will have a very large issue number 1 in next year. So I had also to discuss with Quintessence that they allow us to publish these 5 articles as they are, with the huge number of images and everything. But I think it's an important issue for young dentists and for all the members of the Academy and for people interested in aesthetic dentistry to see 5 different concepts that at the end lead to the same result. The same result means a happy patient that gets the treatment he deserves or she deserves. And the way to go there can be completely different. So the approach...
There is a saying in Italy. There is a saying in Italy. There are many roads to Rome.
Yes.
So you can go from Milan, where I live, to Rome in many different ways. The important thing is to get there and to actually be able to satisfy the expectations of the patient and to set up a treatment that will last a long time. And this is really our responsibility, our duty, to always offer the most reliable and ethical procedures to our patients. So this is indeed something that is nice to see in parallel with these 5 articles, see how there are differences in our approaches, but at the end, you can apply the different approaches and obtain the same type of outcome. At least this is what we expect and we hope.
No, you see, we have 5 different key messages. And again, so there are different philosophies, like the coachment strategy, which is more emotional based, the Gallup strategy we discussed last week, which also has a large part of emotion and more, let's say, facial structures integrated. I see you more as don't get me wrong, the more conservative dentist, but very precise. I always met you, and I always appreciate your precision. So it's like one of my mission statements I had when I first lectured in America. I was thinking, what can I tell the American dentists? So I told them, look, I'm doing Swiss quality with Italian style.
That's a good definition of what you are.
And I always saw you also as an Italian who delivers Swiss quality, but North Italy, and we have to tell people who are watching us, North Italy is the part where Ferraris are made, where the design is made, where all the clothes are coming, the bags,
Fashion,
all
fashion
this stuff
design.
is coming from this small part of Italy, and we have to be aware that that's why also from this part of North Italy we have a lot of authors in the journal, and I feel their passion also for aesthetics, for design, which is a crucial part to create something that is pleasant also to the dentist and pleasant also to the patient and gets in the context. So this history of design and culture, I think, plays also an important role in dentistry today. And so this is your approach. It's not the South American style of which is more empathic, more carnival. Don't get me wrong, but in Brazil we have high standards of plastic surgery, of dentistry, of everything, but in a different context. And North Italy, for me, was always the design metropole worldwide, and also in dentistry. When I studied, nobody was talking so much about Italy. But over the years, I think Italy has found the role that it has with cars and all these other things.
And in dentistry. And in dentistry as well. You know, you see how many articles you're publishing in your journal, authored by Italian colleagues and dental technicians. It's a fairly considerable number, and it's also something you witness in most congresses around the world. You always find some Italians. This really says a lot about the quality of dentistry in Italy. The competition is fierce. It's certainly you're dealing with colleagues who are exceptional in their abilities. And certainly, we have a culture that breeds aesthetics everywhere, and the beauty is surrounding us all the time, and this definitely influences our character, our approach to our profession and to life in general, in, I think, a very positive way. You were talking about a little bit about your background, and my background has been contaminated by many different things. I was born and raised in Italy. And when I was 19, I left and went to the States. And that's where I got my dental education, my dental school, and my postgrad studies. I did them in the States. But I felt that my place was here, not as much in Italy as in Europe. And that's why early on, I really was very happy to get to know the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry. And I immediately strived to become a member of that organization. And I felt at home. I felt at home in a European context with very good colleagues coming from different parts of the European continent. And this has really helped me a lot to grow professionally, even though I have to say that the basis upon which I have built these past 30 years of private practice is the American culture, the American teachings and education in dentistry, both at the University of Pennsylvania, where I got my DMD degree, but I would say especially in the postgraduate program at the University of Washington in Seattle under the guidance of Ralph Fidelis. There, I really had the luck. I feel myself very lucky. I had the luck to meet some exceptional people who have helped me grow professionally very, very much to this day. And as a matter of fact, as you will see just in a second, behind my article, I cannot take credit for it, full credit for it. Behind my article, there is the help, the guidance, the feedback of some people who have been very important professionally for me from Seattle, and namely, Ward Smalley and Bob Fauché, but also John Coyce has been a very a big influence on my education, like Ralph Davis was. So I think this type of approach really goes back to those years, goes back to that education, goes back to the interaction with these people with whom I still have very tight contact to this day.
So maybe this answers already a little bit the first questions, or the first question I wanted to ask you. When did you start with your concept of treatment planning? So when I hear your history of dental education, you might be influenced by the American style, let's say more the John Coy's Seattle Study Club style of dental treatment planning. So many years ago, they were talking about comprehensive dentistry, of interdisciplinary dentistry. So is this correct? If we can say
very much
your ideas are basically American-based, but you managed to bring them over to Europe, because today we see a larger difference between European style of dentistry and American style of dentistry. So how would you answer this question?
Okay, certainly my concept started back in the American years. During the program, the 3-year specialty program that I did at the University of Washington, we had twice or 3 times a week treatment planning sessions together with the students from the peri department. And we had in the session always an orthodontist as well. And therefore, interdisciplinary treatment planning has always been the bread and butter of every day back then. So that already got me into a certain frame of mind, a certain flexibility, if you wish, in looking at a patient and trying to understand whether this was a treatment that I could have carried out by myself as a prosthodontist, or whether I needed the help and the collaboration of other professional figures, the periodontist and the orthodontist, to say just the first 2 that come to mind. When I came back to Italy, and we are talking about at the end of 1990, I immediately looked for building a team with other colleagues that would complement my specialty. And I found very good people, and again, I feel lucky for having done that, and I have been now a partner of Matteo Capelli in the office for 20 years. Matteo is the surgeon of all our patients. So I've been very lucky meeting him and eventually deciding to open the office together with him. But the other person that has been instrumental in really developing a certain mentality and carrying out the multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary cases is David DeFranco. David is also a member of the European Academy since a few years. And David is an orthodontist, trained in the States. He came over to Italy more or less at the same time when I came back, because he married an Italian colleague. And with him, we have been working ever since very, very, I would say, with a lot of satisfaction for both of us. And to this day, we're talking about now 28 years into collaboration. To this day, we meet once a month, one evening, to discuss the clinical cases that we're treating together. So there is this total and complete feedback back and forth between the approach of a prosthodontist and the approach of a orthodontist, and of course bringing in the surgery. And this is something that has really influenced my philosophy of treatment planning. So again, starting from the American years, I have built up on that thanks to these collaborations, these partnerships, and the influence of the European Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry.
Okay, so maybe we start with the thing that we will see next year coming up. So this is the title. So this is the title of
the article.
Simplified Method to Develop Interdisciplinary Plan of Treatment. Sounds interesting. So and 3 steps sounds interesting. And maybe because you were talking about the personalities that have influenced you, maybe you can give us some words about these persons.
Yeah, these are the 3 people who, together with Ralph Fidelis, really have influenced me in those years. Ward Smalley, actually, he used to be a dental technician. Then he went through dental school in Seattle. Then at the end of dental school, he decided to go into prosthetics. So he was a grad student in the prosthodontics department. He got his specialty, but he was not happy enough doing just prosthetics and being a prosthodontist. So eventually he got into the ortho department and did the ortho specialty program. And at the end of that, he practiced as an orthodontist for many, many, many years. But with this type of background, he had such an understanding of all of dentistry and all of prosthetics. And he has really been very instrumental in also some very important articles that have explained to people how to plan for the insertion of implants in patients who are then subjected to an orthodontic treatment. So Ward has been a big part of my article as well. He has really drilled me and challenged all the things that I was writing. And many things, I have to admit, have been improved and changed thanks to his influence, together with Bob Fauché. Bob is somebody that most people do not know, but he was for many years the right-hand person of Ralph Fidelis in the program in Seattle. He is a well of knowledge. He had such an understanding of dentistry and of the literature that it was a very precious source of information. And again, a very rigid, very severe judge of everything that we did. And, if he saw that you were really striving to improve, he would really be on your side. But if he saw that you were kind of slacking off or not really helpful, not working enough, then he would just drop you. And then there is John Coyce. And John Coyce certainly is one of the best known prosthodontists in the world. He is a force of nature. He is an incredible person, full of energy, full of ideas, a great teacher with a capital T. So these people, I was lucky to get to know them. I was lucky to be exposed to them and to still hold a relationship of friendship with them to this day. So this is the structure of the article. So as I was saying before, trying to illustrate what should be a rational approach to a patient in need of a complex treatment that spans through different specialties. It's something that requires some knowledge of all of dentistry, 360 degrees, even if you're not going to do all of dentistry. Like, I limit my practice just to prosthodontics, but I need to understand and I need to get into the head of the orthodontist, of the periodontist, of the implantologist, or even of the maxillofacial surgeon. And at that point, thanks to these interactions, I started trying to think how to make this approach simplified, quote unquote, by structuring it in 3 steps, as you saw. So I got to this structure after a lot of trials and error. And thanks to the opportunities that I've had over the past 30 years to go around the world and teach and interact with colleagues, and thanks to their feedback, which make you think, you need to be able to defend your philosophy, your treatments, and so on and so forth. I eventually came down with this idea of having these 3 steps and developing a certain number of questions. In total, there are 6 questions divided in 3 steps. So if you go back just one slide, Alessandro. So the 3 steps is, first of all, looking at the patient as a whole, looking at the face, at the lips, and evaluating the teeth relative to the face, to the landmarks, horizontal and vertical landmarks that we always look at when you observe a patient. And of course, within the frame of the smile of the patient, so looking at the lips and looking at the relative symmetry or asymmetries that you may observe in that patient. Once you've done that, then you go inside the mouth and you actually take note of what are the dimensions, the sizes of the anterior teeth. And finally, you look at overall at the relationship between the front part of the mouth and the back part of the mouth, so the anterior teeth and the posterior teeth, and the upper teeth and the lower teeth. So by putting together all these pieces of the puzzle, then you're supposed to produce a treatment plan that makes sense. So now if you can go to the next slide, you can see the 6 questions divided into 3 steps. So the first step, the one where you are looking at the face of the patient, you're looking first of all at the symmetry of the lips and of the teeth in relationship to the face, and you look at the midlines of the face, the midlines of the upper arch, of the lower arch. Are they coincident or they are not? Are they straight? Are they tilted? Then you observe the vertical position of the anterior teeth of the maxillary arch within the frame of the lips. Of course, lips at rest, lips while speaking, lips smiling. And then you look at the vertical position of the incisal edge of the lower incisors relative to the lower lip. Can you see the lower teeth, or you cannot see them? Do you see them too much? Are you also seeing gingiva, or just the portion of the crowns? So this is the first step. Then the second step consists in actually pulling back lips and cheeks and looking at the state of those teeth. Of course, we're looking mainly right now at the anterior teeth. Are they worn? Are they chipped? Are they elongated because the patient is affected by periodontal disease? And therefore, you assess the size, the shape, and proportions of these anterior teeth, and you compare them to what we already know as being the norm. And so are these teeth too short with respect to the norm or too long with respect to the norm? And of course, this makes a big difference when you take this information and you put it into the face. So a tooth that does not show when the patient has her lips at rest, and then you pull back the lip and that tooth is very short, then you can imagine that you will place a restoration to elongate this tooth in an incisal direction. But maybe your approach is going to be different if instead the patient has lost a lot of periodontal support. So that's the second step. The third step, finally, is looking at the orientation of the occlusal planes, the upper and the lower occlusal plane. And you look at it both in the frontal and in the sagittal side of the patient. So you look whether it's actually level with the horizontal landmarks of the face, or whether it's tilted, canted on one side. You look if anteroposteriorly this occlusal plane is straight, goes up or goes down. So you try to understand that if you are actually taking into consideration rehabilitating the patient, some of these landmarks will need to be adjusted, modified. And the last step, which is a very important step actually, is assessing occlusal vertical dimension. There are many ways to determine whether occlusal vertical dimension of the patient right now is appropriate or not appropriate, and whether there is a need to change it or not. But it's important to understand what are the implications of any modification in the vertical dimension of occlusion as far as not just the size of the teeth, but for example, the overbite and overjet relationship. So I go through all of this and I've attempted to put together a method that in a way you follow as a recipe of a cookbook by collecting data and then evaluating and elaborating this data in such a systematic way as to produce information that will help you develop and design an interdisciplinary treatment plan. So this is the aim of this article.
It's interesting, all the 5 articles, so the most important message in all 5 articles and in a lot of other articles that we have published on treatment planning is, and I'm saying that not only to you, but to everybody, it remembers me all the time, the textbook of full mouth dentures, of full dentures. So the most important, the key in doing a full denture is, after having defined with the wax walls some relations in accordance to the face, then place the front teeth, and this gives you everything.
You must remember which is the main article that started to make people think about an aesthetic evaluation. It was an article published in 1973 on the Journal of Prosthetic Dentistry by a guy whose name was Richard Lombardi. He actually was an Italian or of Italian origin who used to live in Seattle. He was a removable prosthodontist. And he's the one that was, I think, the first to really outline all the different items of a smile that you needed to look at and influence. And of course, this is something that a removable prosthodontist, having totally a blank canvas to fill, had to analyze and think about, and all these issues were addressed by the removable prosthodontist first, but then we start to apply them also to fixed prosthodontics. And, Richard Lombardi, so another Italian, had a big influence and a big role on starting all of this process.
So, but we have also Swiss guys like Gysi and Gerber.
Well, Gysi made other type of contributions to function.
This brings us back to Swiss quality with Italian style. Correct.
And let's not forget Peter Scharer. Let's not forget Scharer and the role that Peter has had also in the world of aesthetics. Peter was really an amazing teacher. Great leader with a lot of charisma and very knowledgeable. I was, again, lucky to have met him like you did.
Yeah. No, the message is that maybe even young students should look at textbooks that are from the last century. It's dentistry is not something that now with digital technology has been reinvented. So there are a lot of principles that are very, very, very old. And I think our teacher of the teacher of the teacher, our grandfathers, they had to deal with edentulous patients. So today, a patient comes with a small chip, and then you do a little composite. So dentistry has changed, let's say, in not all over the world, but in many countries, and I see it in Switzerland. We can talk about minimal invasive dentistry, because our young patients, if they don't have an accident, there's almost nothing to do. So, but our grandfathers, they had patients at 40 or 40 years old patients without any tooth. And then I think this was a big challenge. This was a big challenge to start restoring these patients or give them back function, phonetics, aesthetics, and everything. And I think all the fundamentals we are now packaging in other bottles or in other concepts and in modern technology are based on their theory, on their findings. And I think it's fun and it's interesting to read the old textbooks on full dentures from different countries. It might be from Swiss professors, from Italian professors, from wherever all over the world, and see that there are a lot of parallels to what we are doing now. And we are basically always starting with the front teeth and then going back to the rest of the mouth in relation to the face. So this is very interesting that these basic concepts are still here. So yes.
No, I was about to say that, if you look you were talking about young people, young colleagues who are approaching the profession and getting into aesthetic dentistry, they definitely have the luck of having available so many great books nowadays. And if you look at the books by Mauro Fradeani, the books by Galip Gurel, the book Jerry Shish, the book by Pascal Magne, they're all books that have built upon the heritage of people like Richard Lombardi and Claude Ruffenacht to get to a higher level of consciousness regarding aesthetic dentistry. And I have to also compliment Quintessence and Dicker Hase for having chosen to publish these books at a time in which aesthetic dentistry was not such a big deal or such a hot topic like it is today. And these books are great places where to start from.
Cool. So we have some minutes left, but let me ask you one or two more questions. So how do you see yourself? Are you more analog or more digital?
I am a dinosaur, recognized as such, in the sense I'm a very traditional guy. I feel very confident in the analog world, but now for the past 5 years, I have started to do a very, very slow entry into the digital world. I really need to digest information first. I have never been eager to be the first kid on the block to have the new toy or try the new material. I always let other people be the first, the openers, and then I come and follow, later at my own pace. But nowadays, there are so many advantages in being digital, in applying the digital tools to our profession, that definitely I am slowly but steadily going into that direction. But I think that I understand very well also what are right now the limits of the digital tools, and therefore I am at a time in which I can easily apply analog techniques whenever I see that the digital does not allow me to get to the same level of quality and confidence. But no question about it, Alessandro. I will go more and more in the digital direction.
But I can tell you, and I told this also to Galip and Christian Coachman in the last interviews, you know that less than 5% of dentists have an intraoral scanner worldwide?
I know,
so we're talking about more than 2 million dentists, and 5%, max 5% own an intraoral scanner. So you can consider to be in the majority, 95%, and also being part of the minority, which is only 5%, using really digital technologies every day in their practice.
Yeah, but a lot of dentists who still are in the analog world may not realize that vast majority of the restorations that they request to the dental technicians are done in the digital world anyway. And, right now there is still certainly a cost obstacle to the entry by many dentists into the digital arena. But we have already seen a lowering of the prices and higher competition in this field will definitely help increase the quality while lowering the cost of acquiring these tools. It's a big investment. And the one thing that many people need to understand is that once you buy one of these tools, you start a learning curve. They may take several months or even years to really put under the belt. So it's not like these tools all of a sudden will just compensate for a certain lack of knowledge or lack of skills. So definitely we will see big changes. And when you talk to the companies that sell the digital scanners, you see that even in a year like this year, 2020, their sales has increased. So the trend is set. I am pretty sure about that.
Yeah, dentists took the time to train themselves during these difficult days. I think you have to take the chance and take the opportunities to prepare for the future. So, what would you recommend our readers or our listeners or people watching us, especially younger dentists? So, for sure, everybody who watches this needs to get the next issue of the International Journal of Aesthetic Dentistry. And I want to motivate as many of you to subscribe to the journal. That is not only available in English, but also in German. We have the Brazilian version. We have a Japanese version. I think a Chinese version is coming up. So there's no excuse not looking or reading the journal. So what is your perception about all this?
My perception is very easily said. If you really want to improve your level of professionalism and knowledge, you need to study. And once you finish your university, well, that's only the beginning of a road that you can shape yourself the way you want it. And when I got out of the program in Seattle, I really thought I was an extremely knowledgeable person. I had a lot of skills. I thought I came out of a very good program that really prepared me to face the profession. But once you start, you understand that you still know very little, that you need to improve in many ways. You need to learn so much more. And finding one or two journals in the vast landscape of journals that can provide you with some quality information and that is easy to read and that also is written by people with whom you can also interact and have a feedback is a very good way to start learning more and more about how to develop your skills and knowledge. Again, you made a decision of devoting a full issue to treatment plan, which I find in a way courageous at a time in which people are more interested in the appearance than in the substance, that they want to know what is the most best looking material or how to get the papilla to grow 1 millimeter more. Speaking about treatment planning is not so fashionable, but to me, learning how to do treatment plan is maybe the most difficult thing I had to really develop and learn in my profession. It's an intellectual exercise that needs to be fed by so many different directions information. You are put under stress to put all these pieces together in a puzzle that makes sense, not only to you, but also to the patients. This requires a lot of work, a lot of skills, and especially a lot of interaction with your peers. That's why, to me, this monthly meeting with David and Matteo is so precious, because the minute in which we need to explain what we want to do for a patient to other colleagues, you're challenged. You really need to make sense of your ideas. So this exercise puts you in a position where you can really hone your skills, improve your knowledge. You need this interaction. You need the confrontation with people who may think differently than you, who come in from a different viewpoint, different angle, and this is the only way to really grow. It's amazing to see how the same patient looked through my eyes and through the eyes of David. It's like two different people. We look at such different things that it's only by comparing them, then we are able to put together a treatment plan that really we feel is a quality treatment plan. So this is my wish to the young people. Find colleagues with whom you can collaborate, with whom you can exchange ideas, with whom you really challenge yourself. That's the best way to grow.
Super. And I'm really looking forward, and I will promise you this will be not the last issue that will be related to treatment planning or something surrounding this, because if you don't know the foundation, you cannot perform, and you cannot get perfection, or you cannot reach higher levels. And I really had to read these 5 articles several times to understand. And
I can imagine.
yeah, no, and I'm really looking forward to a fruitful discussion with the readers and also with the authors on not only on social media, but maybe on conferences, maybe on future European Academy meetings. I think this next issue that is like a book. And I can tell you, it will be like a book. This will be an interesting piece of literature for not only the young dentists, and will be the base for a lot of discussions and motivation. And that's why I thank you very much that you accepted the challenge to be part of this special issue. And I'm really looking forward to see the printed version. We are already working on the layouts, and you will get the PDF very soon. So thank you very much, Stefano, for taking your time today, and especially for taking several months of work.
I apologize for the delay.
Get this article done. So thank you very much. Grazie mille, Stefano.
Grazie a te, Alessandro. Really, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very, very happy to have had it. And I'm looking forward to the feedback, very much so. Positive and negative. It's constructive.
I told you, we want to create discussion. Without discussion, we cannot get further. So we need to develop. And thanks again, Stefano. Thank you to everybody who watched us live. And I'm sure that a lot of people will watch this video later. And if there is any question, we will, or I can forward you some questions. But let's wait and see and read this special issue. And again, we have to do some advertisement for the journal, and check out also our Facebook group and our Instagram page. So on Instagram, we are the first peer-reviewed Instagram account. And since I started with this concept, the number of subscribers or followers, as we say on social media, has increased dramatically. And it's not just these fake followers, whatever. It's really dentists from around the world following us, and this is amazing. And I hope that this side effect will also get new subscribers to the journal. So thank you very much, Stefano, and a presto. Ciao.
A presto anche a te, Alessandro. Grazie infinite. Ciao a tutti. Be safe.